Welcome back, and you're looking at Unrendered. I'm Tony Regisford, and I'm chatting with Steve Maximay. Steve, the linkage between tourism and agriculture, so vitally important, because one does not have to mean the precluding the other. They should mutually exist. Yes. And I know you've been doing a lot of work.
This is my hobby. This is my hobby horse.
Yes.
So you just open.
Because you've talked about agro-tourism. And
there are many definitions for agritourism, but I'm comfortable with the fact that we are talking about linking the two sectors. I've built my entire practice on linking those 4 sectors that I mentioned at the beginning of the program. Food, agriculture, because it's very often people don't see agriculture as being connected to food. Food, agriculture, tourism, and the environment. Yes. And we have seen where the new tourist, the type of tourist who is concerned about global warming, who is concerned about food miles, who doesn't want to travel the same distance as the food that they're going to consume, those are the people who are driving these new linkages towards agro-tourism, the links between agriculture and tourism.
What do you mean when you say food miles? I mean, you come back to
it's a concept that gained credence out of Europe. Because of their concerns about global warming and the fact that food is being transported using fossil fuels, which is adding to the carbon dioxide load, which is contributing to global warming.
So we're talking about carbon footprint here.
Yes. People, concerned tourists, primarily Europeans, yes, are very concerned that they don't want to come to St. Vincent, travel by jet, already complicate the matter, and have food that travel the same distance. Right. Even within Europe, there are concerns. You look at the major chains in the UK, that's the Sainsbury's, the Tesco's, etc. They are all using it as a marketing tools to see that they're bringing their stuff in by rail rather than bringing it in by lorries. Yes. So that whereas one locomotive is equivalent to maybe 100 lorries, they're saying that we are now bringing stuff in by lorries, so we're not contributing. The food has a lower carbon footprint than food that would have traveled all those miles. So and there are tourists out there who are keen on that. So and they make their choices based on it.
You're saying then, I'm trying to put it in your words, that in St. Vincent, for example, there are potential tourists who would make the choice of coming to St. Vincent simply based on the fact that they know when they get here, the food that they're going to consume is grown locally here, or didn't have far to travel.
Didn't have far to travel. I wouldn't say they're based only on that.
Yeah, but that's one of the factors.
That the philosophy, the overriding philosophy of the country is one of low carbon development. Yes. And this is something that President Jagdeo has been able to articulate and gain not only credibility but funds for, in the sense that he understands the whole concept of a low carbon footprint development strategy, where you are going to reduce the amount of fossil fuels used. And all that ties into your organic thing, because all of these chemicals that you're ostensibly using in your traditional in your conventional agriculture, yes, all of them have been produced using fossil fuels. So you see how it all ties back. I mean, I'm sorry to be rambling, but
no, you're doing fine.
Just they're all interconnected. So that this business about agro-tourism, when we talk about eco-tourism, we talk about on-farm tourism. There are people who are quite willing to come to a country to see how bananas are grown, because we take it for granted that everybody knows what a banana plant or a tree or a vine. They have no clue whether it's a vine, a tree, or a tall 60-foot thing. They have no clue. To come and see that or to come and experience that is a different experience.
So you're actually saying that a hotelier who goes for a different style of hotel sets up his hotel on a farm, for example, and part of the attraction for his guests would be to experience this farm existence, see how things are done, and at the same time eating what's coming off of the farm. And
it doesn't have to be that radical a shift. In other words, we are not saying that you're necessarily scaling down the amenities, because although people want the experience, they don't want the wild part of it.
Course, they don't want the mosquitoes and the sandflies.
And they don't necessarily want to have an outhouse either. No. They want indoor plumbing. Yeah. But I'm saying that within that construct, it is still possible to cater for the concerns, the genuine and legitimate concerns of tourists in terms of whether your food was coming from near or far. Part of the consulting I've done in Tobago and to some extent in Barbados has to do with Green Globe certification. Green Globe is an environmental standard. A lot of these tour operators, especially out of the UK and so, are specific in terms of the types of hotels that they recommend to their potential travelers. They want them to go to a hotel where there's a certain amount of respect for the environment, respect for the local community, and when we get to fair trade, we'll talk about the involvement of communities and so that when we got those properties in Tobago to Green Globe benchmarking, which is the first step in the process, they were monitoring their electricity use, monitoring their water use. I mean, we in Trinidad and Tobago have a different, rather unique problem. Right? We don't really worry about energy bills.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Exactly. And we leave taps running and that type of thing. So that once you start monitoring those things, we have systems in place where you monitor your meter and you see how you've been using electricity, how your air conditioners have been serviced, etc., etc. We then use that now to show the tourists coming that this is a property that is sensitive to the environment.
It's green.
And you have no idea the drawing and marketing power of that.
So there's a huge marketing pull for the notion or the concept that you are.
I mean, Dominica set us straight first.
You're green.
But I think the rest of the Caribbean is fully on board.
Yes.
If not by word, by deed. But majority of them are on by word. Some are on by deed.
Apart from the green concept, let's look now at the fair trade concept.
Okay.
You just mentioned it. What is fair trade?
Well, I mean, the St. Vincent, the people in the Windward Islands, the pioneers, Winford has been the pioneer of the fair trade movement within this part of the world. Basically, it is a mechanism, it's a system of operation where consumers are prepared to pay a premium for food that has been ethically produced. What do they mean by that? They mean that these people, these producers, are the ones they want to reward. They don't want to reward the middlemen and the big Del Montes and the big companies, and so they want the actual producers of the food to earn a decent living. They want them to earn a decent living, and they want to reward them, literally, for doing it in an ethical manner, so that those of the people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are familiar with fair trade know that the farms have pit trees. There are a whole range of things that have been done. Certain chemicals aren't allowed, etc., etc. And that on top of that, there's something called a social premium that is paid. This is almost a top-up price. So you have the traditional cost. Your costs are being covered by the price that fair trade people are willing to pay. And on top of that, they're putting this social premium because fair trade is not an individual activity. There can be no one fair trade grower. Fair trade growers are organized into groups, into fair trade groups. I think there are about 13 in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And those groups then market under the fair trade label. That little sticker you see on the banner there. And that has meant, tremendous benefit. I think this is one of the most underreported stories coming out of the Windward Islands. And it pains me, literally. Every time I have to talk about it, and people look at me as if it's the first time they're hearing about the social premium, the fact that there are school buses and so that have been bought on these funds. Because the social premium is meant for the community.
So it goes back.
It goes back to the community. And I think that, I can find very little fault with a system like that.
No, but are there difficulties in at the consumer end? Let's assume that let's use the UK market, for example, and I'm really going back to that traditional crop, bananas.
Yeah, sure.
And so we have the fair trade banana, okay? It's going to be selling at a premium on the supermarket shelves in the UK.
Yeah.
It's going to be a more expensive product than the non-fair trade bananas.
The Chiquitas. we're allowed to say say it here.
Is there really a viable market? Are there people that are seriously willing to pay, and a critical mass of people that are willing to pay a higher price to cover that social premium that you're talking about and the other costs that are, cost implications that exist for doing fair trade farming?
I think we in the Caribbean, speaking as a Caribbean person now, we have no concept really of the depth of, some people consider it guilt, whatever it is that drives Europeans and Americans, in terms of they understand the consequences of global warming. They understand the consequences of climate change. They feel responsible. Let me give you a local example. Caribbean Airlines, what used to be BA, is a small airline. It's our airline, we're proud of it and all that, but they only have a few planes. Even Caribbean Airlines, if you go to their website, you will see on their website where there's a portal where you can pay to offset your carbon footprint. In other words, every time you travel on a plane, let's say there are 200 of us on this flight, this thing is putting out 2,000 tons of carbon dioxide, we are responsible for 10 tons. You can pay, let's say $20, to go into a general fund, which is called carbon offsetting, which is another area that I consult in. And the people who are managing that fund will probably tell you that, look, we are planting some forest in Tanzania or somewhere, and that is going to compensate for the amount of carbon dioxide that you just put into here. We are going to take it out via this.
I hope all this works.
We Caribbean people, we don't. I mean, a lot of people look at that and they say, "Well, I didn't cause this problem, so I ain't fixing it."
But not only
a lot
that,
of people are very concerned.
How does one
know that they're really going to plant something in Tanzania?
Exactly, because the concept of greenwashing, I heard
of course it's greenwashing.
This concept. A few months ago, where you have, for example, you check into a hotel, you check into a hotel, and a hotel says, "Do you want your towels done today?" And
because they're going to save the amount of detergent and which is genuine.
But basically, a lot of these people are
charlatans
looking at their cost and trying to drive their cost down. They don't care about the environment.
But green makes sense. I don't care what motivates them. To be quite honest, if a person does the right thing for the wrong reasons, I mean, there's a fine line there. Later on, I'm going to worry about that. But if they're doing the right thing, if they're genuinely reducing the amount of chemicals that they use, and they happen to make money, fine. Because that's why I consult in Green Globe. The properties that go green are going green out of a sense of altruism, yes, and everything else. But it's green because there's green at the end of it.
And so
there are bucks at the end of it.
And the end justifies the means, you think, in this instance.
Well, I'm not sure if I want to go that far. What I'm saying is that I am not going to stay on the sidelines and judge why they're doing it. I'm saying if they're doing it and the benefits are positive, what goes on in the back of their mind, what motivates them, what got them started is immaterial. If they're greenwashing in the sense that if they're saying
that they're doing it and
they're doing this and not doing it, that's something else. I mean, I think there's legislation and there are mechanisms to deal with that. You can decertify them on a whole range of, it's like organic. I mean, that whole organic thing turns out to be a farce in a number of cases, right?
How do you know it's truly organic?
Americans may be trucking manure from one state to the next. I mean, that's in strictly organic terms. That's not on because you're using fossil fuels to move the thing.
Right,
so better using fossil fuels to make some
fertilizer. You're still getting up this carbon footprint.
Exactly. Yes. So it's those types of things. So greenwashing, I would have a difficulty with. But the fact that people are going green because it makes financial sense, that's just a business decision for me.
Steve,
I have no real difficulty with that.
We're at the end of our third section, and when I come back, I want to have you wear another cap, the cap of reprographic rights, because that's something and intellectual property. So we're going to spend the last segment talking about that, and just leave the agriculture for a while.
But it will pop back in there.
Good. You're looking at Unrendered, and my guest is Steve Maximay. When we come back, we'll be into our final segment. Stick around.